the last working day for UK businesses to prepare their website for new law governing the use of cookies. No, we're not talking about the things you dunk in your tea. These are pieces of personal data that are stored when we browse something on the web. And, yes, they then sort of can be used for people to target us with their advertising. For example, I go online, I Google or Bing, cheap holidays or something like that. And then it sort of sits there, the fact that I've been looking for cheap holidays. And a holiday company can spot that, come along and say, why don't you come away with Stephen Rhodes Holidays Limited? Yeah, anyway, from Sunday, sites have got to obtain informed consent from visitors before saving cookies on a machine. However, it is expected that the vast majority of websites will not be ready in time. Now, Debbie Proctor is computing lecturer in Tresham. Debbie, thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
That's a pleasure.
So, I don't know in my lay terms whether I've done it nicely or not. I've said what cookies aren't. Just tell us what they are.
What they are is a form of tracking what you're doing whilst you're browsing on the internet, as you quite rightly said. But there's different forms. There's some that will remember your account login, so it means it's much quicker for you to log in to your account when you return. Some save vital information and some aren't essential, and this is why the law's been brought out to deal with the amount of tracking that's done that is passed on to third parties. So it's to protect users' privacy who don't want information passed on without their knowledge. And it's the third party part that they're trying to actually address.
What I don't understand is if I'm sitting at home there on my computer and I'm looking something up, how can they look into my computer? Or does my computer say, hey, this bloke here has been looking at whatever?
Well, it's a bit of software that they use, which all it does is it records what websites you've visited, what areas you've looked at. Some organisations...
But are they hacking into my computer?
In a sense, yes. They're accessing your browser, but they're not actually hacking into your computer. It's only your browser that they're interested in. But what people don't realise already is that a lot of the browsers that are available allow you to turn that off anyway. So there's tools available in the browser, and if you don't want to be tracked using cookies through your browser, you can actually turn that off. But what they're saying with the new law is that companies have to, because a lot of people still don't know what they're used for, as you quite rightly said. And we know that we're being tracked while we're on the internet for marketing reasons, but we don't understand where that information goes.
So now the companies have got to ask us.
Yes, it will be in the form of a message box that will come up on screen informing you that there are cookies on the site. It's not quite clear what organisations have to do.
Now, I have managed to turn off pop-ups because they pop up all over the place.
That is part of cookies.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm cleverer than I thought. I was just annoyed about all those things.
With a message asking you whether you want to turn it off, and you will be given the option to opt out. And that's what they're doing. So people can then control who is seeing what they're doing on the internet. So their information won't be passed on to third parties who will then target them for advertising or promotional activities.
Right. And the way they would target me for advertising, they're not the ones responsible for my spam mail. That's a separate thing. They are?
Yes, they are.
So hang on a moment. If I look up something in, let's say, Google, I think that's the biggest search engine in the world, so we can say that. And there are other search engines out there as well. But if I go and Google something, for example, are you saying that I could end up with some spam email in my Outlook account, my Outlook box?
From the sites that you visit, after you've done the search through Google, yes. Not necessarily through Google. Now, the problem is, and a lot of companies are against it, is they use these cookies to analyse who's visiting their sites and whether their sites are effective. So a lot of organisations aren't happy with the new legislation because they feel that it's not necessary and that it's a waste of money, basically, because they do use it for serious analysis of their sales. And if you're a new business, you can use it to see where your visitors are coming from so that you know what sites they're visiting and then coming to your site. So it does help when you're coming up with promotional campaigns and when you're designing your website. So some of it is for businesses to help improve their websites and make them better to use. So this is where the issue comes.
And I gather as well, people who have websites, they can do what they say Google Analytics, where you can analyse what's going on.
Yes, this is very, very popular, and I use it with students.
And this is all free online, isn't it?
Some of it is free.
Some of it's free.
Some of it's free, so some of it you do have to pay
at
for.
a lower level. But you can tell whether it's men or women, what day of the week, what time of the day. And
what are good keywords to use. So when people are searching, what words they're using to find your site, which helps then with for example, if an organisation wanted to choose a really good domain name for their company, they could use Google Analytics for that to help choose the name for their site and help people get to their site through easy searching. So there are some tools with the Google Analytics particularly that are very useful for setting up effective websites for users. So we think of it
now you're talking the other side of the fence in a sense.
So we're talking about, yes, they're tracking, and it does seem, well, why should they be tracking me whilst I'm using the internet? It's not fair, but if you've got nothing to hide, some people would argue that it doesn't matter that they're tracking what you're doing.
We are becoming, for all the sort of, privacy laws and all the rest, well, in terms of data protection and all the rest, for all those laws, when it comes to the internet, we seem to throw a lot of information away because, for example, you sign up to Facebook and if you read the terms and conditions, you're handing all your photographs of you on drunken nights and all the rest of it, and you're giving all these things to Facebook to do what they like with them. And look how many squillions of people are doing that.
Yeah, and people don't realise that with Facebook, they use tracking cookies. So if you click on like, so one of your friends has posted a comment or a picture and you like it, that's used to see what sort of things you find funny or what appeal to you. So Facebook used the like button to track.
Well, I couldn't understand why. I had a Facebook page, which I don't really use, unless I want to dip in and have a look and see what my kids are doing. I could ask them, but they wouldn't tell me. But it's all there for public, for the public to sort of have a look at. So I can tell what they're doing from the pictures and everything and think, oh, no. But for some reason, I found myself signed up to Manchester United. I mean, I'm not even a football fan. And I've got Manchester United all over the place. Do you think I can get rid of it? Not a chance.
Yeah, this is where the issue has come. And this is why the legislation's come in, because a lot of it is unrelated, or you think it's unrelated to sites that you visit. So you're suddenly getting a lot of spam mail or a lot of adverts popping up on the sites that you visit, and you don't understand why, because it isn't related directly to what you've been looking at or searching at. And this is what they want to do. They want to allow users to understand what their information they're inputting is being used for and give them the option to opt out and not allow companies to do that unnecessarily. And I think this is what needs to be clarified, because people aren't really sure what it actually means.
Can I just say something, Debbie? We're going to have grannies and grandpas everywhere spitting at the radio now, because they're going to be saying, my grandchild said to me, Granny, of course you can go online, you'll be perfectly safe.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean,
if you go into the forest, you could be eaten by a fox. So, I mean, it could be worse.
Sometimes, people are very fearful of the internet, especially if it's anything to do with financial transactions.
Yeah.
But the cookies are used primarily for advertising purposes.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, thank you for joining me on the programme.
That's a pleasure.
It's a confusing old story, but I hope we've sort of put that right in somebody's mind. They've now got to ask you in future. They can't just do it automatically. All right?
Northants weather. BBC Radio.